Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5 The Game. Here we go on a Wednesday. A big one tonight for the Predators. I haven't asked John Hines kind of about the idea of clinching tonight. You know, perhaps it's possible. Who knows? Caroline Fenton is here today. How are you today?
I'm great. Today's my mom's birthday today, actually. So
happy birthday, Mom. I'm a big fan of Mom. Mom, you know, Mom and Dad came in town a couple of weeks ago. We spent some quality time with Mom and Dad. I'm a big fan of Mom. So happy birthday. I remember your mom's name.
Laura.
I was just put on the spot. You know, it's always
It's always hard. It's always hard to remember. But yes, I'm a big fan of my mom, too.
Okay.
But I'm glad you liked her.
There we go. So happy birthday to Mom. I want to start off with this. Caroline, when we hired you, I told you that I was going to educate you, you know, a little bit, not just in terms of what the right thing is. And you know this show, I've got a ton of right opinions, but also kind of on how we do the show. So I'm going to open it up to you today, and I'm going to open it up to Ian today to decide if this should be our leadoff topic today. Because I saw this yesterday on ESPN, and if this were last year, in the middle of a non-sports pandemic, it would have been the number one story. And I just have a hard time getting on board with it. I'm not saying that I preach just total responsibility on the radio. I think there are certain things you should and should not do. But deep down inside, I just kind of figure, you know, the radio, whatever you're talking about, we're talking about. So if you're talking about, we're talking about. I don't care. A lot of my friends who are Titan fans talking about this. But Bill Barnwell, ESPN, put out an article about, you know, the best fits for Aaron Rodgers. You know, the Aaron Rodgers gossip and drama train is now fully taken over the NFL. Last week, it took it over, but then we had the draft, so it's like, you know, I'm a big fan of whatever my team is. Let's get to Aaron later. Now, you turn on ESPN or Fox or whatever, and it's Aaron, which is probably exactly what Aaron wants. I don't have a ton of respect for Aaron Rodgers for a lot of different reasons. But let me say this. This time last year, if Bill Barnwell at ESPN wrote an article about Aaron Rodgers coming to the Titans, we may have done 4 hours on it. So I want to open this up to you guys with this question. Is it worth even wasting our time discussing Aaron Rodgers to the Titans?
I think it's an interesting topic and it's worth talking about, but it's not going to happen. Right. I think that, well, first of all, the Packers don't even want to trade him. So in order to get a trade, the Titans are going to have to give up a lot. And I don't think the Titans really have a lot to give up.
Barnwell said Tannehill a first and a first. So Tannehill and gave that up in order to get Matthew Stafford. I mean, the Rams gave that up in order to get Matthew Stafford.
The Rams are willing to give up every first-round pick ever for forever until the end of time. I just don't think that's in the best interest of the Titans. And to be realistic, how much time does Aaron Rodgers really have left to be a starting quarterback? And how old is he now?
38 years old.
He's 38? He's not a super young guy. How long is he really expecting to be in the league?
Okay, but how much longer do we expect Tannehill to be the quarterback for?
Probably 2 to 3 more years. But if you keep Tannehill for 2 to 3 more years, you don't have to give up any first-round picks.
Okay.
You would be getting a better quarterback in return, and, you know, you'd have a more reliable quarterback, and you wouldn't have to worry about finding that next franchise guy in the draft or signing another guy to fill in behind Tannehill. You're going to have a better quarterback, and you're going to have I just don't think it's feasible.
Ian, do you think we should talk about this? Do you think we should look at the Bill Barnwell article? And I mean, I think you guys, I think everybody probably knows that 99% of what we talk about is kind of what I say, you know, hey, let's talk about this today. But I'm a little torn. I'm a little torn on this topic. Ian, do you think we should talk about this today?
This does sound kind of like a fun June topic.
It does it not?
It's a summer topic.
And it is. See, I don't like doing that because I don't like degrading the summer. You know what I mean? Like, if I show up to work, like, I show up to work. Now, yeah, the Titans may not be playing football, but the way I look at it, this summer, the Predators are going to make the playoffs. They will probably be in the playoffs for 3 weeks, maybe 2. But 2 to 3 weeks, they'll be in the playoffs. That will take us to June. Then in June, we'll probably have the annual Vandy baseball talk. that we have. Do people care about Vandy baseball, which will probably come up. And then we'll probably have a little bit of time, and then SEC Media Days and training camp gets started, and then we're right back to the grind. But I don't want to degrade the summer.
That's fair.
Do you think we should talk about this today? And yes, let me say this. We are loaded today. There is a lot of stuff to get to. Predators, Titans, the governor says everything should be 100% now. I mean, there's a lot of different angles we could start the show on. I just wonder, is this a topic today? Ian, do you think we should talk about this today?
I think it's worth mentioning a little bit, yes.
I just don't think any Titan fan believes that Aaron Rodgers is coming to the Packers. I just think everything Caroline just laid out, I think is probably how 99% of Titan fans probably feel. I mean, if I were to ask, again, let's go around the room. Would you today, if Brian Gutekunst, the general manager of the Packers, called you up and offered you Aaron Rodgers for Tannehill and your 2022nd first and your 2023rd first, would you say yes, Caroline?
I don't think so. I don't think I would. I understand that it is Aaron Rodgers, and I understand that would put the Titans in a much better position this season. But when it comes to building your team in the future, I just don't think it's worth giving up your next 2 first-round picks.
Ian, would you do it?
I would be on board with getting Aaron. Where it gets tricky is at this point, is it worth waiting to get a better deal?
If you hold out long enough for Aaron, you don't have to give up one of the 2 first. You give up a first and a fourth and a sixth.
Does the asking price go down? Yeah, does the asking price go down as this kind of lingers on and he's more and more dug in kind of thing?
Okay. I would say this. I don't think they're going to get him either. I would make that trade. And I don't even want Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is a franchise killer. Just look at what he's doing to his franchise right now. I think Aaron Rodgers is a coach killer. I think Aaron Rodgers is a bad teammate, even by going out of his way to be a good teammate so he doesn't get the bad teammate rep. I think he's a bad teammate. What's he doing to his team right now? I mean, I think that, to me, Aaron Rodgers is the biggest and most selfish crybaby in the NFL, and I don't even think it's close. And I don't think you win championships in this league with crybabies. Aaron won a title in 2010, pre-crybaby. What's he done since? And for everybody that will say, well, it's not Aaron's fault, that's the crying right there. It's not Aaron's fault. Nobody blame Aaron. Hey, God forbid Aaron doesn't make mistakes in the NFC title game. God forbid Aaron doesn't go out and make them hire Matt LaFleur, who can't decide whether or not to kick a field goal in that NFC championship game. I mean, come on now. So I don't want Aaron Rodgers personally because I don't think he helps your franchise. I still would do the deal. I still would do Tannehill a first and a first in order to get Aaron Rodgers. And I would do it for 2 reasons. One, I think you're maximizing Derrick Henry's window if you do that. I think you very much can make the argument that Aaron's window and Derrick's window are the same this year and next year, and then after that, if you get it, do it. Here's my thing. First off, I do think the Green Bay Packers are going to trade Aaron Rodgers, but I also thought the Texans were going to trade Deshaun Watson. And obviously, the Texans are not trading Deshaun Watson. So, as much as I want to get excited, or as much as I want to believe, this idea, hey, you know what, hey, this makes sense. I do think Aaron is done in Green Bay. Secondly, I wonder if John Robinson is wanting to make a splash that the fans would like. For example, I brought this up earlier. The governor today went on Clay Travis and said that he believes that everything indoor, outdoor should be 100% open. Well, the governor's not really responsible for any of that. It's not really his jurisdiction to decide. He can't call the Predators and say, hey, I want 100% capacity for a Stanley Cup playoff game. Because there's kind of a league office in Toronto, so you want to be like that. You want the fans, the constituents to be, yes, way to go. And so if you trade for Aaron Rodgers, then everybody would say, yeah, I know you kind of been screwing up the draft lately. It's been a little questionable, but yes, way to go. Way to go. And I think maybe Robinson is more inclined to do that. But at the same time, again, the likelihood of the Titans landing Aaron Rodgers, I pride myself on being a first guesser and not a second guesser and not a guy late to the party on a big story. But I just don't think it's realistic, but that's never stopped us before. I just don't think any of the fans think it's realistic. And until I feel like the fans think it's realistic, I have a hard time having this kind of discussion. But then again, at the same time, I probably thought when we did the Brady Tannehill talk every day last winter, or not last winter, but the previous winter before that, when we did Brady Tannehill every day, and trust me, I see all the data and it registered. When we did that, that's because I thought there was a legitimate chance the Titans could sign Tom Brady. I still feel like Tom Brady would have picked here over Tampa Bay. But if you had told me 3 years ago, Tom Brady to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I would have laughed. So, I mean, it's possible. I just don't think it's very likely. And unlike all the other times when we discuss it, when it's Antonio Brown or Leonard Fournette or Le'Veon Bell or Odell Beckham, and we have the discussion of, hey, they say OBJ's in the market. What about the Titans? Let's take your calls. I don't even think there are Titan fans today that think that Aaron Rodgers is a possibility to the Titans. That's why I have a hard time getting on board this discussion. I need like something more. I need like a Robinson called Gutekunst, or Tannehill's camp believes, or Aaron Rodgers talked to Derrick Henry, or I need something else before I feel like we can truly go there.
And at this point, I don't like if the Titans were in a serious quarterback crisis or a dilemma, as is, the Broncos. They don't really know who's going to be starting quarterback for the Broncos. Washington football team, they have Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I'm not sure who else. Those are teams that are really lacking depth at that quarterback position, or lacking a really good talent at that quarterback position. I don't think the Titans are. I mean, Ryan Tannehill, he had the second best passer rating in the 2020 season, fifth best quarterback rating in the 2020 season. He's not a bad quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers.
He's not Aaron Rodgers, but are you willing to give up 2 first-round picks in order to get an improvement just a little bit?
Yes, I am. I mean, and I like Tannehill. I mean, again, everything that I think makes Tannehill work, everything that I think Tannehill stands for is the opposite of Aaron Rodgers. I think Tannehill's a great teammate. I think Tannehill's a great leader. I think Tannehill takes to the coaching. I think Tannehill cares about the organization. I think Tannehill, raises everybody else around him. I don't think Tannehill holds grudges with people who have held him back. I think he's the exact opposite personality-wise as Aaron. I just think Aaron's better. And deep down inside, after the Ravens playoff loss, I had a hard time getting on board with Tannehill. And I'm a big Tannehill supporter, and I supported the idea of Tannehill over Brady. And if you listen to the show, you know how much I love Brady. I have a hard time believing in Tannehill in the playoffs after what we've seen the last 3 years. The Ravens game really did it in for me. Because if you're going to win a Super Bowl, Derrick Henry's not going to rush for 200 yards in every game. So what are you going to do when a defense completely sells out to hold Derrick Henry to 60 yards? What are you going to do? And we saw 160 yards. We saw the interception to Khalif Raymond. I mean, we saw that. So as much as I love Tannehill, I mean, if you have Aaron Rodgers, your first-round picks are going to be like 27th in the draft. Not to say that a first-round pick's not valuable and you can't get a good player there, but they're not as good. And I certainly worry about Aaron screwing up the team. I mean, I have told you, I don't like that personality as a leader of a team. And
I don't like that personality combination of Mike Vrabel and Aaron Rodgers. I don't see that working.
I think here's where I guess I differ on that. I wonder if Vrabel can speak Aaron's language better. As if Aaron thinks he's smarter or better than everybody else, but maybe wouldn't feel that way with Vrabel because Vrabel's a former player. I also wonder if Vrabel knows, hey, don't upset the beast. You traded for Aaron, now go in there and pucker up and kiss that butt. And I don't know. But that's how we're starting the show today, apparently. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025. I'm going to ask you all the same question that I just asked them, because even though we're talking about it, I feel dirty talking about this today. I feel gross talking about this because I need something more. I need something more before we can get there. Something more than Bill Barnwell hypothesizing the idea of Aaron to the Titans. But I do think it makes more sense than all these other trades I see, all these other potential teams. 615-737-1025. What do you think? Is it worth talking about? Does any Titan fan believe this is a legitimate possibility? And I will also throw in another caveat to this that I think would keep any possibility of this happening. 615-737-1025. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company. We are live from the wholesaling studio, powered by RumbleOn.com. It's ESPN 1025 The Game, and we're streaming on the Game Nashville app.
Does Rodgers have a right to be this upset with the Packers?
With him being that upset shows me just how weak he is. Who the hell cares who you draft? I mean, he's a 3-time MVP in the league, and he's worried about this guy they drafted last year at number 1. And for him to be upset, my God, I don't understand that. Pittsburgh drafted Mark Malone, number 1, Cliff Stout in the 3rd or 4th round. I had them coming at me from all angles. I embraced it because when we went to practice, I wasn't worried about those guys. You know, it didn't scare me a bit. Here's what I'd do. I wouldn't budge. Let him gripe. Let him cry.
Bradshaw, WFAN in New York. Boy, Terry Bradshaw has no time to deal with Aaron Rodgers being a crybaby, which is what, I mean, look,
I love it.
Aaron Rodgers is a crybaby. I mean, I heard Jeff Darlington this morning on ESPN because they're talking about, the divorce with Aaron, and every day there's a new article that comes out. Did you see the article yesterday? Jake Kummerow, do you know who that is?
No.
I've never heard of this guy before in my life. Jake Kummerow was apparently like the 6th-string wide receiver, and Aaron said, oh, yeah, he should definitely be on the team. The next day they cut him, and he ended up in Buffalo, and then Aaron was asked a question later in the year, and he said, well, I don't want to give my advice because last time I did it, the guy ended up in Buffalo or something like that. And then apparently reports are out, Aaron never let that go. I just saw Bob McGinn, longtime Packers writer, has inside the rift between Aaron. Aaron's a crybaby. Aaron's sensitive. Aaron holds grudges. That's who Aaron is. That's what Aaron Rodgers does. And I heard Jeff Darlington today say, hey, he's close with Aaron's brothers, and he doesn't want so close with Aaron's brothers. And I will say this about Aaron. And this goes back to my thing about how I feel like Tannehill is the exact opposite of Aaron, even though he's not as good as Aaron. And that is, like, I feel like I've known Aaron's brothers long enough, and I know enough of the backstory. And again, like Darlington, keep their private lives private. I don't know how you can't get along with those guys. I mean that with total sincerity. I mean, I've had arguments with both of them. But on the air, off the air, I don't know how you can't get along with those two guys. When you talk about, being part of a family and growing up with them, and, when Jordan Rodgers got famous, and it was a very overnight thing, right? Like, he was the quarterback at Vanderbilt, and he came on the radio station, twice a week with me all the time, and then all of a sudden he's gone for 6 months, and the next thing you know, he comes back but can't tell you anything about his life, and now he's all over TV. And ends up, marrying that. I would always tell people, because people had their idea of the television Jordan, and they'd be like, I don't like that guy. And I used to always be like, he is nothing like that. He is the shirt off his back kind of guy. And that has always affected my feelings towards Aaron. But again, that's not the topic today. The topic today is whether or not we think, again, Bill Barnwell lays out the Titans as a possible team. He lays out the Titans as a possible team that Aaron Rodgers could be traded to, Tannehill and 2 firsts. Somebody texted me and said that they don't even know if the cap number would work out because nobody's thought about it because it's so far-fetched. My theory is not even Titan fans think this is a possibility.
No.
But if we found out that Aaron had, let's just say, Aaron calls Derrick Henry, now do Titan fans think it's a possibility?
I would say it's more realistic. But if there's one thing I've noticed about it, it applies to Titan fans, and I think fans of any sports team. If they want it to happen, they're going to act like it's possible. They're going to say, oh, yeah, give up our 2 first-round picks, give up Tannehill, whatever it may be. We'll do whatever it takes. It'll be possible. We can do it. But if they don't want it to happen, then it doesn't really seem rational to make that choice.
You think Titan fans don't want Aaron Rodgers?
I think Titan fans love Ryan Tannehill. I think if Titan fans wanted it to happen, they would say, "Oh yeah, it's possible, it's doable."
Ian, do you think Titan fans want Aaron Rodgers over Ryan Tannehill?
Well, how many fans wanted Tannehill over Brady?
I try to go back to that. I mean, we were just such an anti-Brady show. Remember Floyd when you
had an anti-Brady show?
Well, first of all, Floyd, friends with everybody involved,
was convinced he was not leaving.
Oh yeah, it's a waste of time. He's not going anywhere. He's if you bring in Tom, you got to change the offense. If you he wasn't going to talk about it, and I understand why. Because anything that he said of substance would have ended up in every paper, and I understand. He's the one person who literally knows everybody.
Right.
I feel like there was a decent amount of fans who wanted Tannehill over Brady.
Was unapologetic in saying they should go the Brady route. But that takes me to another reason why I don't think this is realistic. And it's because I don't think Robinson trusts the Packers enough to be able to do the deal before the deal's done. Because any deal you do, you have to get Aaron's blessing, right? Because if you don't get Aaron's blessing, he's just going to cry like a baby and make things worse for everybody. Because, again, that's what crybabies do. So I don't think Robinson would run the risk of making Tannehill think that he's looking to replace him. And I think that's another reason why the Brady thing, I think the Titans tampered with Brady as much as you possibly could. And again, I have no sourcing on that, and I'm not accusing them of anything because I have no proof. But I think if Vrabel wanted to get a message through to Tom or Tom wanted to get a message through to Mike, I'm pretty sure they could do it. And I'm guessing that the Titans had made the choice on Tannehill over Brady. Now, the age thing was a concern, and Tannehill probably had more years that we expected, and Tannehill didn't bomb out in the playoffs like he bombed out in these playoffs. So your opinion changes over time. I think if it came out, if Adam Schefter reported that the Titans were in the mix on Tannehill, if it came out that the Titans were in the mix on Rodgers, I think Titan fans would immediately be ecstatic for it. I mean, we saw it. We talked on Tuesday. Hey, here's the report on Caleb Farley's injury. Do we want to take him? No. What's the text line say? No. What the caller say? No. Friday, they took him. What do you think? Text line says, you guys are haters. Callers say, you guys are haters. I mean, so if Adam Schefter comes out and Adam Schefter says that the Titans are talking to the Packers about Rodgers, then I think everything we're doing, we just stop. And we just talk about that all the time because that's all anyone's going to talk about. And they're all going to want Rodgers. That's my hypothesis on the situation.
I just don't think so. I mean,
I don't think the fans love Tannehill as much as you think they love Tannehill.
99% of the text line right now, for example, this one texter said, I'm begging and pleading for them not to trade for Aaron Rodgers. Why would I want to trade maybe 1 or 2 years of Rodgers over Tannehill? I'll take Tannehill any day of the week.
Tannehill's not 23. I just want everybody to know that.
Neither is Aaron Rodgers.
Right, but again, how long do you think you're going to have Tannehill for?
2 to 3 years.
Okay. How long do you think you're going to have Rodgers for?
No longer than 3 or 4.
So you think you're going to have Rodgers longer than you're going to have Tannehill?
I mean, a year or 2, maybe.
Okay, so then the age thing, which was the thing in the Tannehill-Brady conversation, the age thing is a non-factor.
No. I mean, he's 38 years old.
So,
I mean, you're giving up your starting quarterback and let's say, okay, how long do you think that the Titans would have Aaron Rodgers?
I think probably 3 years. I think he played a high level for 2 years. I think the third year maybe he falls off a little bit.
So you're giving up your starting quarterback and your first-round picks for the next 2 years for 3 years of a quarterback, when you could have 2 to 3 more years of the quarterback that you already have.
And then your picks on top of it.
And also your first-round picks. I just don't think that's a very smart decision. Aaron Rodgers, then I would say, yeah. I mean, he's young. He has a lot of years left in professional football.
We didn't know he was such a crybaby then.
We didn't know he was such a crybaby then. I mean, then I would have said, yeah, that's a slam dunk. But I think that you're trading for the same amount of time that you would have with a quarterback with a little bit of improvement.
No, I mean, come on. I like Tannehill, right? Ian backed me up. I like Ryan Tannehill.
You do?
Aaron Rodgers is a significant improvement over Ryan Tannehill. I mean, think about this. Every year, when people predict that the Packers are going to end up in the Super Bowl, there's only one reason why they predict it. It's Aaron. Every year, when the Titans maybe get to the playoffs, the one reason that everybody doubts the Titans is because they doubt Tannehill. Now, I'm not saying they're right for that, but what's Tannehill done in these playoff games to make anybody else say, oh, yeah, you know what, Tannehill, I worry about him? I don't want to say Tannehill lost me in the playoff game this year because he didn't. But boy, did it go down a peg or two. Boy, did it take a step back when Baltimore basically said, I'm going to let you beat me. I'm going to let you beat me. And he didn't do it. 615-737-1025. We got calls. We got texts. We're to them next. Your reaction. Again, I still just don't think this is a topic worth talking about. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game. I know. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Tune in later on in the show. We will reveal a keyword for you to text into the game text line for your chance to win the T-Mobile Hockey Home Gate giveaway. A Dos Equis prize pack, including a case of beer, dessert from Nothing Bundt Cakes, a T-Mobile prize pack, and food provided by 312 Pizza Company in Germantown. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
You can't have reports out there like that and say nothing. You have to speak. You can't be passive aggressive and let it leak out to Adam Schefter and have everybody commenting about your feelings when you haven't made your feelings known. What are they going to do to you exactly? By the way, did y'all know that when he hosted Jeopardy, he had the highest ratings than anybody? That's obviously since the passing of Alex Trebek, God rest his soul. The point is that he had high ratings.
That's great.
That's definitely an option for him if he wants to continue to play football, work out a trade or whatever. What is going to happen to you if you speak your mind and let everybody know you just want out? If you just want out, that would be one thing. But when reports come out that you want somebody fired, you don't get to disappear and hide under a rock and let everybody else just speculate about that. That part is weak, and we know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. But that part is
Stephen A. talking about Aaron Rodgers. Again, I don't like the crybaby Aaron, but you do get that with Aaron in and of himself. Again, I didn't even know if this was a topic worth talking about today. We got calls and texts, so I promise let's go to them. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Caroline Fenton, I'm going to ask you this, though. What is the overall consensus in the text line? Again, the only thing we have to go off that connects any of this to the Titans is that Bill Barnwell take that the Titans, Tannehill, the first next year and the first the year after, could be a fit for Aaron. I still don't think that's enough to have this discussion, but here we are 37 minutes in. What is the general theme of the text line in terms of whether or not they think it's even a legitimate possibility?
Well, I would say about 90-ish% of the text line, maybe a little bit less, is saying no, don't do it. Like there's this chemistry in the offense, and if you bring Aaron Rodgers in and you trade Ryan Tannehill, it's going to shake everything up. And a few texters have mentioned, okay, why would you trade for Aaron Rodgers when you can trade for Julio Jones? Which, like, talking about Julio Jones to the Titans is going to start giving me a rash if we keep talking about it. But they made a good point. Why would you trade for Aaron Rodgers when you could trade for another key position group that the Titans are lacking depth in?
Sure. I mean, I get it. I understand what the fans are saying. I'm just saying, like, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. And Ryan
that's what the
Tannehill
other
is not
part,
Aaron Rodgers.
Right. And that's what the other part of the text line is saying. Like, it just kind of feels like a no-brainer. It's Aaron Rodgers. He's the MVP of the league. It's going to put the team in a better position to win a championship. But I tend to side with the former side of the text line.
Let's go to your phones. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025. Scott is going to kick us off today. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Scott.
Trading Tannehill and 2 firsts would absolutely wreck the franchise for years. I mean,
Why?
You're putting it all in on 1 year to win this year, and you're not going to win because you don't have any receivers. What good is Aaron Rodgers if he's got nobody to throw to? You've got A.J. Brown, and that's it.
Okay, what's Aaron got? I mean, in all seriousness, Scott, what's Aaron got in Green Bay?
Well, that's exactly why they haven't won anything the last few years. I mean,
is it?
There you go.
You think that if you took that defense and you put them with another team, you think the Green Bay Packers are getting to the NFC title game every year?
All I'm saying, you passed on Terrence Marshall to draft Racey McMath. You signed another wide receiver who was a gunner as a free agent yesterday. So you've got the best gunners in the league. Congratulations. But neither of them have ever caught a pass. So, I mean, why have a throw-first quarterback in a throw-first offense if you've got no receivers? It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, thank you for your call, Scott. Do you think that that is an issue? Because I would argue that Aaron has made his entire career, just like Peyton, just like Tom, of taking guys who weren't. I would argue that the difference between Robert Tonyan and Anthony Ferkser is that Robert Tonyan has Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to him. Well, then you can't win with Tannehill. And I'm not saying that I compare the first-round picks to this, but, I mean, your first-round picks, if I said Tannehill, let's say in 2019 when Tannehill went on the run, Tannehill, Isaiah Wilson, and Caleb Farley for Rodgers, I think everybody would say yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just couching it like that. I mean, I'm just saying.
But
look,
also,
everything that I stand for is the opposite of Aaron Rodgers. And everything that I like about Tannehill is the opposite of Aaron Rodgers. And I still just think, man, to have that at that position in the playoffs, put that in Kansas City in an AFC title game, Maybe it wrecks the franchise. I don't know, but I certainly think it gives you a better chance to win the Super Bowl in Derrick Henry's prime. And what have we decided on this show? That the Super Bowl window or any thought of the Super Bowl window is over when?
2 to 3 years.
Why?
When Derrick Henry's prime
Bingo
is over.
Bingo. What else in the text line?
We have another texter texting the text. And also to your point about the tight end, the difference between Anthony Ferkser and Robert, last name,
Tanya,
is Aaron Rodgers. Okay, well then why don't the Titans just use that capital to get a better tight end instead of trading their quarterback? Why don't you can get a better tight end for a whole lot less than you get Aaron Rodgers. But I digress. Michael from Missouri says, I like Tannehill a lot and think of him plus 2 first-round picks is probably too much to give up for someone Rodgers' age, but having Rodgers would significantly increase the Titans' odds to win the next 2 years if the cap numbers worked out. Other than Adams, he's done a lot with a little at receiver recently, and who knows what the Titans have at receiver and tight end. Plus, Rodgers on the play action off Henry's runs would be nasty, but again, it seems like mortgaging the future for probably 2 good years of an older, expensive quarterback.
What do people envision the Titans' future being post-Derrick Henry? Because I hear this, like the idea of like, hey, you're just mortgaging the future on Derrick Henry. Well, or you're just mortgaging the future for the next 2 years. Yes, this is what you mortgage the future for. I don't get it. David Poyle mortgages the future for Ryan Hartman, a third-line guy who sucks. And they're like, they're going for it. Yes. Like, that is not mortgage. That is just buying a guy. Like, when you mortgage the future, you mortgage it for Aaron Rodgers. Does anybody in Tampa Bay give a flying you-know-what about the future in Tampa Bay? No. Like, what do you envision that I'm going to let everybody in on a secret, and I'm going to be totally wrong. But John Robinson's first-round picks right now aren't screaming much of a different story. The Titans are not going to be good when Derrick Henry is no longer good. And then it's going to take a couple of years and a couple of good drafts until they're good again. Like, that's how this works. That once Derrick Henry is no longer Derrick Henry, your team is back to what it was before Derrick Henry. And that's Dion Lewis and 2-4 and Mariota. I mean, that's what you are. And Tannehill's probably going out the door at the exact same time. So the idea of mortgaging the future, I mean, again, if you have Aaron Rodgers, what are your picks? You have Aaron Rodgers and Derrick Henry. What are your picks? Like
low 20s.
Yeah, like 28th.
Ideally high 30s.
So again, before I can get into this and argue for Aaron, and again, I am just totally against Aaron Rodgers. I am. I need something more though than the Bill Barnwell article. I need something relevant, and I don't think Robinson is going to risk alienating Tannehill to try and pick up the phone to see what's going on with the Packers, who say they're not even going to trade Aaron Rodgers. Chris Sanders did not like the Titans draft on Thursday, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm not sure he loved it on Friday. What did he think overall? Plus the Rashad Weaver incident. And, of course, I'm going to ask him this Aaron Rodgers thing. Chris Sanders joins us next here on Stillman and Company. Join ESPN 102.5 The Game this Sunday from 10 to noon for the Nashville SC pre-match party outside the Hard Rock Cafe downtown. Party before the match on Broadway and get some game swag, plus register to win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Nashville SC home game, and then head on over to Nissan Stadium for the 12:30 match. Get your tickets now for Nashville SC at NashvilleSC.com and tune into the game on ESPN 94.9 pregame show at 12:15 p.m. So I have a saying that when it comes to the Tennessee Titans, there were some people in town that were just so excited about the Titans draft. And we, doing the show Thursday and Friday, I would say collectively, Mark Howard, TD, Chris Sanders, myself, we were not thrilled about the Titans draft. And I said this, Chris Sanders joins us now, former Titans receiver. Chris, I said this, if Chris Sanders doesn't love your picks, he is the nicest guy in the world. He is a former player who loves the team to death and was college teammates and friends with the head coach. And if Chris Sanders doesn't love your draft, something is wrong. Chris, did Saturday ease your issues with the Titans draft? What did you think?
No, I mean, it's not that I didn't like the draft. It's just there's so many buts going on. Like just kind of going to the first round, you got Farley, who's physical, smart, and a technician, but he had 2 back surgeries, and he had a torn ACL. And then you have the lineman, Dylan, I can't pronounce his last name. Radens. He's a versatile player, smart, but then he lacks upper body strength. But he lacks experience and is just a special teams player. Then we get the Dez Fitzpatrick, physical, smart, great route runner, but he's inconsistent sometimes, and he lacks frustration. So just kind of going through the list, even though they sound like good players, and I'm not disrespecting Mike Vrabel and J. Rob. I have so much respect to him, but there's so many ifs and so many buts about drafting some of these guys, and that's what I was just concerned about.
What did you think of the Dez Fitzpatrick pick on Saturday? Because he is a wide receiver. I went on a Louisville radio show today that I go on every week that I used to be on, and I said I think Dez is going right in the slot. And I've talked to people in that program, and they seem to think Dez would be a good slot receiver in the NFL with guys on the outside, and that he will block, that he is a good blocking wide receiver. And then I had one of the hosts say after I got off, no way Dez goes in the slot. What do you think of Dez Fitzpatrick?
No, he's not a slot player. And the reason why I say he's not a slot player is because when you're running those digs and you're running those different choice routes, you got to create separation. If you look at Humphries, I was here last year and 2 years ago, he created separation by running those choice routes. And watching him at the Senior Bowl, when he was running those little dig routes and those little choice routes, there was no separation. But if you look on the outside, when he was running the comebacks, when he was running the quick outs and running the curls, he was getting separation. So if he can do that and do that on the outside, you want to put him on the outside because he's not a guy that has the body control and doesn't have the quick feet and the quick core to really change directions like a Humphrey or a Derek Mason.
Titans at Colts week 1. Let's just say that's what it is. We'll know next week. We'll know 1 week from today. Titans at Colts week 1. Let's just throw it out there. How are you lining up the wide receivers?
I'm going with Reynolds outside. I'm going A.J. Brown, and it's still a toss in the air. I know they got a kid from the Broncos, Fred Brown. I don't know what he can do. I mean,
I think he's a gunner.
But he's still a wide receiver. I mean, I don't know what he plays a little bit of slot, with the Denver Broncos. So I don't really know who's going to be in the slot because there's nobody proven, to be in the slot. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do formation-wise. I don't know if they're going to put A.J. Brown maybe in the slot and have Reynolds on the outside in different formations. But right now, I really don't know. I mean, I really don't know because there's not a guy that can run the choice routes, and run the quick slants, and run the seam routes like a Humphrey that they had last year and a couple of years ago.
Do you think they could put Batson in that spot?
Yeah, I think they could, but Batson's more of a speed guy. I mean, I know he's got quick feet, but you're talking about you got to run routes off linebackers. You got to run those little quick outs. You got to run those shallow crosses. I'm not saying he can do it or can't do it, but he just hasn't been proven to do it. So maybe that's their game plan, knowing that they have Batson, that he can maybe do those things that Humphries did. So that's a great observation.
What do you think about the pass rushing situation? Not only did they get a 4-3 defensive end in Rashad Weaver, but then the news came out about Weaver and his arrest on Monday. I still don't think they did enough over the draft behind Dupree and Landry.
I agree with you 100%, Jared, because, I know Dupree's a monster and I know Landry's a monster, but can we rely on Dupree? I'm not saying he can't do this. I'm going to tell you, when Dupree is healthy, he is a straight-up dog. He is a monster. But you're talking about an ACL, and he hurt it late in the season. I know we keep talking about it. I know we say he's going to be ready, but at his position, he's got to twist and turn. He's got to have a bend, and he's got to change direction. So I'm just hoping that he's healthy, and I'm hoping he can do those things because if he can do those things, then it creates depth, and then Weaver won't have to come in and play as much because Dupree is going to be in there.
Chris Sanders is our guest, former Titans receiver. What do you make of the no tight end in this draft?
Ooh, Yeah, I mean, we already know that the Tennessee Titans is a run-heavy offense. I guess they're depending on Ferguson, and I don't know if they're going to bring Pruitt back, but you're still at a deficit of having a tight end. I mean, in my opinion, I wish they would have got a tight end in the draft, maybe a Trimble from Problems. But right now, you're still in the problem that you were heading into free agency, and now after the draft, you still don't have a solidified tight end that can catch the ball and also can block inside the box.
What do you make of the fact that the Titans didn't know the Rashad Weaver incident, that it had happened?
Oof.
Paul Kaharski's reported that he talked to 5 scouts and 3 scouts said they knew. That report, I'm not the one questioning the reporting,
Right.
but that report, I guess, is coming somewhat under question. What do you make of kind of the situation surrounding that?
You know, it's a tough deal, and the reason I want to be really careful when I say this because I don't want to make anybody guilty. Everybody's innocent until they're proven guilty. But at the end of the day, no disrespect. I respect my organization. I love the Tennessee Titans. But guys that you're thinking about drafting, guys you're thinking about bringing into your organization, you just got to do your homework. And I'm not saying they didn't do their homework. They may have missed it. Well, we all make mistakes. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure you don't fall in that same situation that happened with Simmons when everybody's questioning, what Simmons did, and now they're questioning what Weaver's doing because when he gets into camp, when he gets into OTAs, they're not going to focus on his ability. And you don't want that coming in the NFL because as an NFL player coming into the NFL, your focus should be on winning a spot. Your focus should be on learning the defense. But now the focus is going to be, man, this mistake that he possibly made or could have made.
Cris Sanders is our guest. What did you like about the Titans draft?
Oh, okay. I had a lot of butts, but there's one cat that I absolutely love is Elijah Molden from Washington. You see, I didn't say his name. I mean, I love this kid. He reminds me. I'm not saying he's this good yet, but he reminds me of Corner Finnegan. Just feisty, mean, gonna fight everybody on the field. And the one thing that I love about him, he's a student of the game. I mean, just listening to his interviews. I mean, you're listening to him, and he's drawing you in onto what the offense is going to do. So if you have a defensive back that's studying the offense, that's studying the formation, that's studying these things, and he draws you in by just talking and then brings the feistiness, the fight, and the grittiness, it just shows you that it's a product of a guy who knows the game and who wants to win.
Is that the only thing you liked?
Yeah. No. See, why you get me in trouble, man?
Cris Sanders is our guest. And again, my theory is Cris Sanders, nicest guy in the world, former Titan, loves the team, college teammates with Mike Vrabel. What's that tell you? We've been kicking around Bill Barnwell, ESPN. Aaron Rodgers is trying to cry his way out of Green Bay. And Bill Barnwell wrote an article about teams that could be fits. He said the Titans, Tannehill, their first round next year and their first round the year after that for Aaron Rodgers. As a wide receiver, would you do it, yes or no?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't
Why?
want him on my team. I'm not. He's probably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But absolutely, the reason why I don't, my heart, I'm dealing with Tannehill. The reason why I love Tannehill is Tannehill, when guys make mistakes, he runs up to him and says, "Hey, dude, let's get this better. Let's get it done." As opposed of going in the media disrespecting your players and disrespecting coaches. I don't want that. I want Mike Vrabel and J-Rob always talk about, I want good locker room guys. I want guys that come in and they're a part of a family.
Do you think
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Do you think that Green Bay is more at fault here, or do you as a former player point the finger more at Rodgers?
I point the finger at Rodgers, and I'm being respectful when I say this. I'm talking about the player, not the person. But if they're building a team around you, and you're still mad, you got to remember that that's the nature of the beast. Just like in 1998, when they got Yancey Thigpen and Kevin Dyson, those are teamy. So instead of him crying, no disrespect, instead of him getting mad and pouting like a 5-year-old, say, listen, hey, love, you sit there on the bench while I go win MVPs. That's how you handle it. Instead of getting mad at the coaches and getting mad at them, what they're not drafting, man, hey, I'm sorry. You're not going to be a part of my organization if you're going to complain, because we talk about this all the time. It's about being a family. It's about caring about each other. It's about loving each other. That's what Tannehill brings to this Tennessee Titans team. He brings love, he brings commitment, he brings leadership, and he cares about everybody in that organization, period. I'm going with Tannehill.
Cris Sanders, former Titans receiver, as always. I don't think anybody had more fun this past weekend.
Oh, dude, it was
Cris
so
Sanders.
fun.
Just looking right at me every time the Titans did anything.
Oh,
and yes,
so funny.
when they took a speed wide receiver who had no catches in the 6th round. That one, boy, I tell you, it got me. Chris Sanders, as
Oh, my
always.
God.
Chris, we'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks.
Yep, Chris Sanders. Boy, man, I tell you what, Chris Sanders, if Chris Sanders doesn't like your draft, if you're the Titans and Chris Sanders doesn't like your draft, I'm not sure exactly how I'd feel about that. By the way, Nashville Sounds Baseball is on ESPN 94.9 this season. Catch all the action presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans and 312 Pizza Company. Today, the Sounds take on the Toledo Mudheads pregame at 4:20 and first pitch 5:35. I said 4:20, 5:20. 5:20 and 5:35. What's that?
No more beer at Sounds games
Is that a thing?
because they lost the opener. Huh.
Yeah, I don't think
That's
right.
one of my favorite baseball jokes of all time.
Yeah, no. No.
Okay.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Coming up next here on the program. Boy, Chris Sanders, he doesn't like the idea of Aaron Rodgers of the Titans. Does Aaron Rodgers actually make your team better? We'll discuss next. Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game. Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025 The Game. Jason Fitz, ESPN Radio, will join us in 30 minutes. Caroline Fenton is here. Ian is here. So we started off the show kicking around the idea of whether or not the Bill Barnwell ESPN article, Aaron Rodgers to the Titans, again, it would be Tannehill in his supposed trade. It would be Tannehill and a first in 2022 and a first in 2023 to the Packers in exchange for Rodgers. And you wouldn't do the trade.
I would not.
Ian, I don't think you would do the trade.
I would probably lean no for the time being and try and whittle down the asking price.
Okay, so I would do it. And I still don't think that, we have enough info as far as, this really being something to just run with and pick up with and go crazy about. But I guess I'm a little torn. We had Chris Sanders on, and you heard Chris just tearing Aaron Rodgers apart.
In terms of the locker room problems.
Yeah, the teammate.
And the attitude problems. Yeah.
And, I think it's well documented that Aaron is, for lack of a better term, a crybaby. Aaron's never liked his coaches. Aaron's never liked his structure of, he's never liked Ted Thompson. He's never liked Brian Gutekunst. He's never liked the management. He's doesn't like his family. I mean, it's like, to me, every story with Aaron is Aaron doesn't like. And I guess I'm getting to a point where I do wonder, can you legitimately win with that? I mean, again, Tannehill is a guy who everything that I don't like about Aaron, Tannehill does. Tannehill, is a great teammate. Tannehill is loved by his fellow teammates. He's loved by the coach. He defers to the general manager and the coach on everything. You never hear about Ryan Tannehill doing anything outside of Ryan Tannehill playing football for the Titans. And I think Ryan Tannehill takes a lot of pride in that. When he was in Miami, he was thrown into the fire because Brent Grimes, a cornerback for the Dolphins, his wife, who I think was a radio DJ, she tweeted out that Tannehill sucks. And so now it's like a locker room issue, and I think Tannehill handled that pretty well, the way you would expect Tannehill to handle that kind of stuff. Aaron has a grudge because the Packers cut a guy that he said he liked last year. And after listening to Chris and listening to what Terry Bradshaw had to say, I do wonder, can you win a championship, a legitimate championship? I know the Packers won one in 2010, but Aaron was a pup. That defense was legit. I mean, Aaron's family was in attendance for the Super Bowl. We obviously know how that's worked out. This is the new Aaron. And I wonder if you can actually win with that guy. This is what Terry Bradshaw said on Fox Sports.
A lot of coaches would say, you know what? He deserves to be pampered. He's this, he's that. And I say, look, you signed a contract. You've got a couple of years left on that. If you want to be like Tom Brady, play out your contract and then move on. But in this case, you can't force Aaron Rodgers coddled maybe too much. He has no right to want to get the GM fired. What right does he have? No more right than I have to call Eric Shanks and say, tear my contract up. I had a really good year. And you go, well, you've got 4 years left on it. Yeah, but I had a really good year. And I'm Terry Bradshaw, and I'm a superstar. I don't believe in that. I'm old school. You know that. And I just think these players are just – look, he wants to go to the West Coast 49ers. They eliminated him from that. He's not going to San Diego, and he's certainly not going to the Rams now. I don't know where he can go because they're going to have a calf hit there in Green Bay that's monstrous. And I'm support Green Bay here. Make him come back. Make him come back to you. Don't go to him. Make him come back to you and answer for it. Or he can retire and move on and do Jeopardy, whatever it is that he wants to do.
Do you think you can win a title like that, the way Aaron treats people?
It would just be really hard. I think that in order to win a Super Bowl, you have to, first of all, have talent. You also have to have a second level of trust, friendship, just general caring about this franchise. I don't believe that you are going to win a title whenever your quarterback is on a completely different wavelength than the rest of the team and the rest of the franchise. Aaron Rodgers called Brian Gutekunst, the GM of the Packers, Jerry Krause, and a Packers team group text yesterday, today, recently. Whenever you have that kind of toxicity surrounding the leader of your team, people are going to stop being on board with you. And I don't think that you can win a championship with a guy who is so toxic at the top.
In all fairness to Jerry Krause, Brian Gutekunst has done nothing at the level of Jerry Krause. And I don't mean that from a standpoint. Like, I think Jerry Krause got thrown under the bus in that documentary, and I had a real problem with it because Jerry was the one guy who wasn't there to defend himself. And what I know about Reinsdorf, the owner, and how I've seen him operate the White Sox, I thought it was just as much Reinsdorf as it was Jerry Krause. And Charles Barkley came out and said, whoa, that was all Jerry Krause. And I wish there was more of that, but I mean, I don't know if you can win with it. It's like, I don't know if you can win with Tannehill at quarterback, win the Super Bowl. I don't know that. I felt like this time last year, I thought you could win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. The Titans are certainly putting Tannehill. If Tannehill was a crybaby like Aaron, we'd hear Tannehill crying right now. Oh my God, I got no tight end, and all they got me was Dez Fitzpatrick. Like, that's it? But you're not going to hear Tannehill do that. I don't know if you can win a Super Bowl with a player the caliber of Tannehill's. I know you can win one with a player the caliber of Aaron's. I know you can win a Super Bowl with a teammate like Ryan Tannehill. I don't know if you can win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. That's kind of where I am in thinking about the two guys at that position. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your reaction on this. 615-737-1025. Plus, I saw something they did on ESPN that they were talking about different teams and different this and that, and I saw something that drove me insane. Just drove me insane. We'll get to that coming up next. Plus, we'll have Caroline's update as well. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, but we will get to your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers. And again, I just don't know. Can you win a Super Bowl with Aaron, the teammate, or can you win a Super Bowl with Tannehill, the quarterback? 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I tell you guys all the time that I use Hiller at my home. Why do I tell you that? Because I do use Hiller at my home. In fact, Hiller will be here next week as they are going to do their annual, I guess their semi-annual, their checkup. As a member of the Happy Hiller Club, they're going to check out my HVAC unit, make sure it is working perfectly so that we don't get into the summer and all of a sudden I'm sweating and everybody's mad at me, and we don't want any of that. So that's why I'm a member of the Happy Hiller Club. By the way, tax credit for energy-efficient homes and systems are back this year. When you put Energy Star certified equipment in your house, you'll earn a tax credit with the IRS. This month, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical is helping you keep more money in your pocket and doubling your tax credit when you purchase select new HVAC systems or tankless water heaters. And they will offer special financing so you make no payments until next year. Visit happyhiller.com for all of the details. As always, happy you will be, or the service is free. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters of the Preds and the Vols. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
If I'm running Green Bay, I'm not trading a guy, period. He got $96 million, roughly, in the first 2 years of his last contract. We have the guy signed for 3 more years, and we can franchise him for 2 more years after that. We have paid him very well. So we're not trading him, period. He retires, we go play Jordan Love, we go on with our life, and he pays us back a lot of money. We have that there. Now, this is a good football team. As far as you got a team that's been in the championship. You got Devontae Adams. You got Aaron Jones. You got one of the best young tight ends in the league in Robert Tonyan. You got a good offensive line. You've been close twice. Keep building the team. There's nothing wrong with taking a corner in the first round, but you followed it up with 2 offensive players, a center and a wide receiver. So, hey, he can retire. If we're going to tell anybody who's going to wait for a trade, go buy a house. Get the investment. Forget about a tent.
Charlie Casserly. Boy, that's pretty strong for Charlie Casserly, who is not oftentimes very strong. By the way, I was thinking this through, right? Like, I'm sitting here saying, I don't know if you can win a Super Bowl with bad teammate Aaron Rodgers, and Ian brought up during the break, obviously Rodgers has won a Super Bowl, but I would argue that was pre-Aaron acting as if he's God's gift to the Green Bay Packers. But I don't know. And again, I love Tannehill, the teammate, but then there's Tannehill, the player. So unless you have a thought, 615-737-1025. To the phones.
To the phones.
Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Charles is going to kick us off this hour on Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead, Charles.
Hey. Well, hey, I just think this question about whether or not Aaron Rodgers could win a Super Bowl with the Titans is of course he could. I mean, Tannehill is only going to do so much. He's only going to do so much, but when you're trying to build a Super Bowl team, if you got that quarterback, it changes the dynamic of everything. And this idea of him being a crybaby, look, last year he went out, he played. He shut up and he played and he won the MVP, had that support. And ultimately, like really, this is about Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers realizes that his greatness, he's always going to be compared to Tom Brady. And he knows if he doesn't get another ring, it's just, he's never going to get to what Tom Brady has. But in terms of the support that Tom Brady's able to get, I know that's something that he's going to be, that he's frustrated by. But here's the thing. It really may not even matter because it doesn't like Green Bay is going to trade him. But if he is,
and I get it. The idea that, hey, Brady left. Brady got mad at Belichick. Brady left. And Brady made a life for himself better than that of the one he stems back to Jordan Love. I think the timing of Aaron's complaining stems back to Jordan Love because Aaron was kind of complaining, after he feels like Green Bay embarrassed him. Brian Gutekunst's thing, I don't understand. When you're sitting there, we've talked about this with making picks and getting fired, right?
Right.
You draft Caleb Farley. You know that if Caleb Farley's back doesn't get better, you're getting fired. Like, that, hey, this pick might cost me my job. When going to cry like a baby because Aaron is a crybaby? Did they not know that? I think they drafted Jordan Love to kind of
the same situation of when Aaron Rodgers was drafted. That's how Brett Favre felt. Aaron Rodgers is to hold on. Brett Favre. What? I don't know.
Aaron is to Brett as Jordan Love is to Aaron.
Thank you. Yes.
Right, and I think that's why Green Bay did it because it was like, hey, it worked last time. I mean, the amount of teams that do that, I hate when people call into radio shows and they say, hey, it worked last time. It worked. Let's do it. Who was picked at 199 was Luke Falk, and he sucked. So, you can't do this. It's like Belichick can't wait for Jarrett Stidham to become the second greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. No, he needs to draft a quarterback in the first round, and he did. And I think Green Bay did, they did the Brett to Aaron, so they want to do the Aaron to Jordan. But the problem is that I believe in my heart. Aaron's not giving the money back. So if Aaron is not giving the money back, then there's really no solution here, right? Unless Aaron's willing to give the money back.
I don't think he is. I mean, I don't know the guy personally, but just judging from what we've seen in his attitude and the way that he puts himself before anyone else that we've seen, he's not giving that money back.
Let's go to the text line, 615-737-1025. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What's on the text line? Caroline Fenton.
One texter texted in and said the bottom line is at the very least, it's intriguing, the idea of Rodgers to the Titans. The window for Ryan and Aaron's is to succeed afterwards. You don't want to do.
At some point, you have to find a quarterback. And I believe that quarterbacks are like relationships or they're like, marriages. how everybody met their wife or girlfriend or husband or boyfriend or whatever, it's all different. Like you want it to be a certain way. And then you go to the story of how so-and-so met, and you're like, oh, okay, the meeting for years, and you're not expecting it, and it's just – and I think franchise quarterbacking is kind of the same way, where I feel like, nobody thought that a fourth-round pick to the Miami Dolphins for their starting team that picked a quarterback in the first round Thursday night, they believe this is what they've waited for. This is what they wanted. I mean, Jacksonville took the Indianapolis Colts to the promised land. I mean, again, you go through all the number one quarterbacks that have been just, hyped. Tim Couch never did it for the Cleveland Browns. David Carr never did it for the Houston Texans. Carson Palmer made them better, but never did it for the Cincinnati Bengals. This is like the Green Bay approach. If we're going to draft Jordan Love, Aaron's going to play for 2 years, and we're going to turn it over to Jordan just like we did with Brett and Aaron. Well, that's not – there's no way to do it for sure other than to plan out how the Titans are going to find Tom Brady. And Indianapolis wasn't interested in Tom Brady. And Tom Brady all of a sudden is knocking on the door. It's like, change of plans, we're going for it with Brady. I think when the opportunity presents it, you got to kind of get lucky too. I mean, there's a lot of things that play into this. And so the idea that the Titans could just prepare to find the next quarterback, I'm not so sure it's that easy.
And yeah, well, if you look at the Bucs, I mean, yes, they had Tom Brady, but they also had some pretty talented
quarterback. Like, I think that we could take a run because everybody knew the Bucs were an okay team. Like, they were okay. They were 7-9. We knew Jameis turned the ball over a lot. Nobody this time, before Tom Brady picked Tampa Bay, nobody was saying, oh boy, Tampa Bay is loaded if they just got a quarterback. That's how everybody was stunned when Brady picked. I think it's revisionist history for everyone to be like, look at all those great players Tampa Bay had. It's not Tom. It's all the great players.
But
and it's like,
you cannot discredit that.
Raiders, there are great players on the Arizona Cardinals.
I don't know.
If Aaron Rodgers goes to the Arizona Cardinals today, is Arizona the best team in the NFC West?
Andre Hopkins.
Because they're a good player. Because they got good players. Everybody has good players.
But you cannot say that Tom Brady's the only reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl.
Tom Brady is.
Oh, that's fine. Just Tom Brady.
Wasn't a fact. I mean, that unbelievable.
Winston is my quarterback.
Because you got to just think Jameis is the.
I mean, I don't think he's the biggest my quarterback.
Everybody in the league has good players. I mean, that's my much better football team. Everybody else better. So I don't even know what led me to this rant, but that's certainly how I feel about it.
But do you think that
enjoy Jameis this year?
Yeah, thanks. I'm super pumped about it. Do you think that if Aaron Rodgers joins the Titans, that instantly makes them a Super Bowl contender? The Titans.
Yes. If Aaron Rodgers on the Titans?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. The Titans. Yes. Rodgers over Tannehill, and I hate everything. Ryan Tannehill ain't Aaron Rodgers. 615-737-1025. You really walked yourself into that Jameis Winston one, didn't you?
Yeah, I really did. And it just hurts. Just having Drew Brees for the longest time.
This is with Jameis throwing the ball.
Okay, well, Michael Thomas is Michael Thomas.
We'll see. I mean, 7-9 with Mike Evans at the Headaches Auto Information website, and they are experts in buying or selling. Not sure where to start looking? The Edmunds editorial team test drives over 300 new vehicles a year, reviewing all this. You can narrow it down, so then if there's a couple you want to test drive for yourself, good. But it makes it a lot easier. Whether you're just browsing or you know exactly what you want, Edmunds gives you that extra boost of confidence. Joe Rexroad blowing up my phone. Bad take, Joe. He says he agrees with Caroline on the Tampa Bay front.
Thanks, Joe.
But anytime that Caroline does,
Or Ian Book. You never
Taysom Hill.
know who could be in the black and gold.
could be
Who
Taysom
dat?
Hill. I think Taysom Hill might be a good tight end.
Taysom
for the
Hill.
Titans. Let's start with this. We were dissecting the Bill Barnwell article, and I hate doing this because I just don't feel like there's enough there. But it was, the time last year we would have got there's drama in Green Bay, and whose side are you on?
Well, I don't think he's going anywhere, and I know everybody's trying to come up with some way that gets him out of town. But realistically, if he decides not to play for Green Bay this year, he's going to owe them about $30 million that they're going to be able to go back after in signing bonus. So if they can go after that sort of money and guarantees and bonuses for not playing, is he prepared to write a $30 million check to go elsewhere? His feelings when they drafted the last 2 years, they don't care about his feelings now. He can talk all day long about not wanting to play there, but what leverage does he have to actually make it happen? Plus, I'll say this, guys. I've talked to a few people that I think are pretty dialed into the overall Green Bay atmosphere, and there's a really split opinion on whether or not the team even thinks Jordan Love is going to be the answer long term. They're not going to throw him to the Wolves early and take the egg on their face that would come from not having the MVP this year and also having Jordan Love get on the field too early. So I just don't think anything can be offered in return that would make it worth their while. I think he's going to be stuck with the Packers, or he's going to have to retire.
I don't think there's any way, though, that you can win with that kind of attitude, can you?
Well, realistically,
if Aaron shows up crying like a crybaby, the same way he's crying now.
One of the quotes that blew my mind a couple of days ago was somebody said that talked to the people around the organization that if Aaron Rodgers never plays another snap for the Packers, it's not just the front office and the coach talk to anyway. And, there is something now. Don't. So, as long as you go out and you do your job, I really don't. I think we put the distraction element too high on the list. He's still a reigning MVP. If he comes in and he's grumpy and grouchy and everybody hates him, they're still going to win games because he's just that dang good.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking more of like when you play a Tom Brady who does all of the teammate things right. Because we're, again, Bill Barnwell hypothesized one next year, and I would say do it. Even though Aaron stands for everything I don't like in a quarterback and Tannehill stands for everything I do like, I do think, the end of Aaron's career matches up with the end of Derrick Henry's prime. I think you're a better team with Aaron at quarterback than you are with Tannehill. I think if you want to beat Kansas City or Baltimore or Buffalo or Cleveland or, you're going to need that kind of quarterback. And I hate it. But, Ian and Caroline, two people well, Fitz, both say they wouldn't do it. They'd rather go the Tannehill route. How do you feel?
No, I'd take Aaron Rodgers over Tannehill, and I really like Tannehill. You know that, but you're absolutely right. The only places that Rodgers can go is someplace where he has the immediate opportunity to be in a Super Bowl window. Now, I will say this. There are some real questions to be answered on the defensive side of the ball. It's the same reason, one of the destinations that's been offered up is the Raiders, and I think it'd be a terrible move for the Raiders because they're not going to win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers now, and you'd have to mortgage your future to do it. The Titans are in a little bit different situation, right? The weapons that they have on offense, the offensive line they have, the running game they have, if they can get anything out of their defense, they suddenly become, I think, a much better team because you have an MVP with it. And as good as Tannehill is, there's no slight to saying, hey, Tannehill's great, but Aaron Rodgers might be the best quarterback in the league. Was the MVP last year. So the only concern anybody has is he's not a spring chicken, right? So what's that mean to realistically the future? But if you're the Titans, do you really care about the future if you have the opportunity to win a Super Bowl now?
Well, and I think Jason Fitz, our guest, presented by Blood Assurance, give blood, give local, save lives. Fitz, I think that honestly the most important timeline for the Titans with all of this is Derrick Henry's prime. And once Derrick Henry is no longer, the beast at running back, and there will be a decline at some point, when that happens, I think everything you're building right now kind of goes away. And that's why I do look at Aaron Rodgers as improving you for that Derrick Henry timeline.
I don't disagree with any of that. And I do think I didn't hear y'all's conversation beforehand, but judging from Rexroad and Caroline's comments, I do think that we have to have a little context with what Brady was joining. He was joining a really talented Buccaneers team, right? And so I think for Aaron Rodgers to just go anywhere wouldn't make a ton of sense. He's got to go somewhere, that like the Bucs had through analytics, the top 5 defense the year before he was there, and they had a ton of weapons. So, I think Tom Brady was the perfect frosting on the cake, and then he was able to bring with him a few pieces. you don't have any of those luxuries now. Like if Aaron Rodgers becomes a Tampa Bay or becomes a Tennessee Titan in the middle of June, it's not like they can go out and suddenly get everybody that wants to play with Aaron this year. So I think the Rodgers situation is much more complicated than the Brady situation.
So I have a theory on this because I go back to this Tampa Bay thing. I think Tom Brady just transformed that team. They had an okay defense. I mean, they played here. Titans beat them because Jameis turned the ball over a bunch. But I take two guys, and this is where I wonder where Aaron factors in this. Denver was 8-8 before Peyton Manning got there. They competed for the Super Bowl every season that Peyton was there. They competed for the Super Bowl. Peyton leaves, they're out of the playoffs. Same with Tampa Bay. Out of the playoffs, regardless of whether or not it was all Jameis's fault. Out of the playoffs, Brady gets there, they win the Super Bowl. We're all guessing they'll compete for the Super Bowl this year. And when Tom leaves, I'm going to vote that they probably are no longer a playoff caliber team. Is Aaron that kind of player? Because I think there's a lot of teams, Fitz, that fit the mold of you put Aaron Rodgers on that team, they're competing for the Super Bowl. We don't think Indianapolis is a Super Bowl contender. But I think you put Aaron Rodgers on some of these teams and you got yourself a Super Bowl contender, even though it doesn't look like it right now.
You just listed two very different types of teams. Like the reason it would work on the Colts is because that's a Super Bowl caliber roster that's lacking a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. Like you put him on Carolina, no, he's not. They're going to the playoffs, but they're not a Super Bowl contender in my mind.
Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey is remarkable, but that still doesn't. I mean, that didn't get them for all the years Christian's had. How good has it made them year in and year out? Like there does. How good did Shaq Barrett and JPP and Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh make the Buccaneers pre-Brady? Yeah, well, I mean, but some of those guys came in late, right? Statistically, they had a top 5 defense the year before Tom got there. And you can't escape the turnovers and what that meant to Jameis Winston. They also lost, I think, 3 games, Jameis's last year there, by 1 score or less. Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the variables there. Like, the Panthers do not have any proven entities on defense. Like, why would we think that suddenly it comes back to my Vegas argument? You just mentioned the Broncos. I watched the Raiders take on those Broncos teams that were dominant on the defensive side of the ball. Like, there's a reason you couldn't get anything done against that defense. It was almost a Ravens-like defense, what they put on the field, and they happen to have tremendous efficiency at the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers today would be better than Peyton Manning was at the point of his career that he went to Denver. But you're still like, if you put Aaron Rodgers on the Denver Broncos, they're the second best team in the AFC West still. The top to bottom, the Chiefs are a better team. I mean, that's just, I'm not throwing any shade at Aaron Rodgers. It's just top to bottom, the Chiefs are a better roster. They have more playmakers. And by the way, if I had to bet my house on Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers for a game, I'd take Mahomes. So I still think that they're the second best team in the AFC West with Aaron Rodgers. Not even the second best team in the whole league.
Jason Fitz, our guest. Last thing for you, Fitzy. What did you think of the Titans draft? I say it's bad if Chris Sanders, who loves the team, is the nicest guy in the world, and played in college with the coach, hates the draft. That tells you something. Do you hate the Titans draft as much as we hate the Titans draft?
I thought the Titans, and we talked about it with Field Yates night one of the draft. I thought the Titans took a tremendous risk in the first quarter with Caleb Farley, somebody that, by the way, I think Caleb Farley is a star if he's healthy. But if he's healthy, is such a huge question mark, and I don't know how you can take that sort of roll of the dice and risk when we all know what happened to last year's number 1 pick. So you can't get nothing out of your first overall pick 2 years in a row. And then, you start to go down the list. I'll refer to Mike Golick Jr. When we were talking about the Ravens, the kid out of North Dakota State, the offensive lineman. There's some good there, but it's a lot like Trey Lance. We have no idea the level of competition. And by the way, didn't play last year. So this is like curious spots to go up and down. And Elijah Molden, the corner out of Washington, somebody I think can be good, but it felt like they reached a lot as they went through the draft process. So I never want to doubt somebody's draft this early because you never know. But I definitely feel like certain teams you can look at came out of the draft, even teams that have been historically bad drafters now and turn the page. If you're a Giants fan, a Jets fan, a Browns fan, you can look at your team and say, hey, I understand where we're going with the draft. I don't know that Titans fans can say that when they look at this draft at all. So I feel like it's a lot of shot in the dark if it works. everybody will be happy. And if it doesn't, then there's going to be a lot to answer for years to come in this draft class.
Jason Fitz, ESPN Radio, as always, presented by Blood Assurance. Give blood, give local, save lives. Fitzy, always good to talk to you.
You guys are the best. Have a great week.
Yep, Fitz joining us on the program. I will say they had their digital shows on ESPN. Didn't look as good as in the past. Maybe it's just like Brady.
It's a coincidence.
Tom Brady leaving Tampa or leaving New England, and I'm just saying.
You think I'm Tom Brady? It's awfully nice of you.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Speaking of that phone number, let's go ahead and give away the T-Mobile Hockey Homegate. ESPN 1025 The Game and T-Mobile have teamed up to give away a hockey homegating party. Text the word GAME to 615-737-1025 now to enter for a chance to win a Dos Equis prize pack, which includes a case of beer, dessert from Nothing Bundt Cakes, a T-Mobile prize pack, and food provided by 312 Pizza Company in Germantown. You must be 21 or older to enter. Stillman and Companies, delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 1025 The Game, and we're streaming on the Game Nashville app. Joe Retrode's mad at me. Stillman and Company, ESPN 1025 The Game. Joe's all mad because I have the audacity to think that, I don't know, maybe Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl because they signed the greatest quarterback who ever lived. I'm sorry.
You're just such a Brady stan. Like Tom Brady could do anything, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, no." Just because Tom Brady was there, it was better.
No, yes, because I have proof. Like again, you're 7-9. You have a quarterback that everybody doesn't think stinks, and you sign Tom Brady and you win the Super Bowl.
And it wasn't just Tom Brady though. You have Gronk, which granted Gronk probably would not have gone to the Bucs if Tom Brady wasn't there, and you also add Leonard Fournette in the mix. I mean, that team wasn't the exact same.
Gronk, Antonio Brown, and even Leonard Fournette, though Fournette probably did more than AB and Gronk did. Like, not the core pieces. Evans, David, like, those guys are, the core players. Those guys, except for Brady, were all there. All the core players, except for Brady, were all there. To me, that's simple cause and effect. Brady comes in, you win the Super Bowl. I mean, like, take Kansas back. AFC, simple cause and effect. That's all I'm saying. And Joe's all worked up about it, and I'm sure it'll be the most watched and listened to segment of their show tomorrow when Joe talks about this. Celebrate Mom this Mother's Day with a gift for 1.5 hour picnic theme style photo shoot with Mackenzie Lee Photography, but you'll also receive Kinsey Lee Photography at Centennial Park. Headlines with Caroline.
We're spanning the sports world. It's Headlines with Caroline on Stillman and Company. Right here.
A lot of exciting local news today. Today, John Hines announced that Dante Fabro and Colton Sissons could possibly play tonight. Dante Fabro has been out for about Governor Bill Lee on his show today on Outkick, and Bill Lee said Tennessee will not require any vaccinations to attend sporting events and that it's time for 100% capacity at both outdoor and indoor sporting events, including the Preds and the Grizzlies. Now, keep in mind, what Bill Lee says doesn't necessarily...
But yes, I have for the playoffs. Part of me, I've got my shots. Like, there's a part of me that's like, hey, let's do this thing back. Bill Lee is not in charge of the NHL. Has been doing a lot of these things where he says things or tweets things out. People stand up and say, yes, because that's what they want to hear. And it's not really his jurisdiction to do. It's not his pot to stir. And I told somebody this today who's a supporter of the governor and friends with the governor. And I said, he's stirring up the pot that now the NHL, the Predators, the city, that they're all going to have to deal with. And no offense, but do you think that the league office in Toronto cares what Bill Lee says?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but for any of the Canadian teams, I don't think there's one single fan in those venues.
Oh, I mean, it's bad in Canada, especially what happened to the Canucks. I mean, they're not letting that happen. So now you're stirring this pot that the Predators and the city are going to have to deal with. That's
have Bridgestone absolutely rocking around the playoffs.
Now, I will say this. I have heard this. I have heard that there is the potential for attendance increases for the playoffs. Now, I don't know what that is, but I have heard that. But I go back to the governor thing, right? Like, I feel like with a lot of issues in America, like most of Americans probably sit pretty similar in how they feel, right? Like we've turned into our social beliefs or our scientific beliefs or our, whatever. I mean, I feel like politics feels like they can kind of define everything. But I do feel like most Americans kind of want a lot of the same things. And now we've turned political party says on television, and then that's how we're supposed to feel. I think most people don't feel that way. I feel like when the pandemic started, the images on television of the New York hospitals, and we didn't know what this thing out of China was, and we didn't know. And so the idea of everybody staying at home, it made sense. Like, I think we got it. Now, look, I'm also not somebody now who's saying that things shouldn't be back open up, or we shouldn't be going to work, or we shouldn't be playing sports, or we shouldn't be that. Like, I'm not. I'm saying, hey, yeah, I think it's time to open things back up. But I guess I have a problem with somebody in a position of authority who knows better, and he knows better, somebody who's making it an issue for other people. And that's what I feel like the governor does when he says, I want the Predators and Grizzlies 100%. Well, why don't you get on the phone and call Adam Silver? Because he's got more of a say over it than anybody listening to that. But the people, it's one of the things I don't like about politics is that it's, again, that's not really his pot to stir. And but you know what? Hey, maybe that vaccinated, because as Sean Henry said on this show, that the way he told us, like what, a month ago or something, he said the more people go, and so maybe that's what it does. But decision, it's not. It's so many different people's decisions.
And no matter your political beliefs, I think we can all agree that we would like things to be back to normal. We would like Bridgestone to be 100% and everyone to be completely safe.
Absolutely.
But yeah, maybe this is a push. But what Billy says does not mean that Bridgestone is necessarily 100% capacity.
And I'll say this. I'm not one of these people who thinks we need to shut down everything until absolutely every single person's vaccinated. I'm not doing that. I mean, no. Like, where we are now, like, be honest with you, if we increase capacity, I don't have a problem with increasing.
I'll still go.
I don't have a problem with increasing capacity at all.
Not at all.
Not one bit. But, again, that's not his, he doesn't get to decide that. So I hate, the impression that people would think that he does. What's next?
Tennessee basketball now has the number 2 2021 recruiting class in the country. They landed 5-star Kennedy Chandler, who's the number 1 ranked point guard in the nation. Another 5-star Brennan Huntley, power forward. 4-star Jonas Aidoo, a center. Jemai Mashak, small forward. And 3-star Quentin, I'm going to butcher this last name, and I apologize to him, Debunji. Number 48 shooting guard in the country. They're also landing a transfer from Auburn, Justin Powell, point guard. Michigan has the number 1 recruiting class in the country for 2021, but definitely things are looking good for Rick Barnes and the Vols. The only thing that one caveat to that is I feel like Tennessee basketball consistently has very good recruits and very good recruiting classes. But what are we going to do with it? What is Rick Barnes, what are the Vols going to do with the number 2 recruiting class in the country? Are they going to go to the Sweet 16 this year? Or are they going to make a lot of noise in the beginning of the season and fizzle out towards the end?
You know how I feel.
I know how you feel about Rick
You know
Barnes.
how I feel. I mean, again, I think Rick Barnes is what he is. I mean, Tennessee basketball will always be relevant in some level or another. They will never be that. But, I mean, I'd have to see them get to the Final Four before I believe that Rick Barnes would get them to the Final Four. Those are headlines with Caroline. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Boy, everybody seems to love Indianapolis. I don't even know if I like Indianapolis's draft, but I hear the draft pundits, and they just love them. Did the Colts pass the Titans with the draft? We'll get into that next. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game. Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025. The Game. Predators, big one tonight, Caroline Fenton. Oh, my goodness, we will get into that. Of course, Predators game day as well. But we had Chris Sanders on the show. And I will say this. I am not as much of a believer in Chris Ballard and the Indianapolis Colts as much as everybody else is. Every single year, they pick the Colts to win the division. Every year, it is the Colts. Now, when you had Andrew Luck at quarterback, I understand why they picked Andrew Luck to win the division every single year, because Andrew Luck was a freaking stud. But then, all of a sudden, everybody just seems to heap praise on Frank Reich, the coach, Chris Ballard, the general manager. I mean, I think I saw a poll that said Chris Ballard, Indianapolis, ranked as the number one general manager in the NFL. Why? Like, what does Chris Ballard do in Indianapolis that John Schneider in Seattle doesn't do? What has Frank Reich in Indianapolis done that Sean McVay in Los Angeles hasn't done? I mean, I don't think they're dummies. I don't think they're John Gruden, Mike Mayock with the Raiders. But everybody just seems to, they love to pick the Colts. The Colts have Carson Wentz at quarterback, a complete wild card. You think it's a risk to take Caleb Farley in the first round. It's a risk to bring in a broken-down Carson Wentz, have a team that everybody seems to say is Super Bowl ready, and say, okay, Carson, here you go. But we all know how we feel about the Titans draft. Chris Sanders on our show, I asked him what he liked about the draft. He said Elijah Molden. Chris Sanders, former Titan, loves the Titans, played in college with the head coach and is friends with Mike Vrabel, the coach, and is the nicest guy in the world.
The nicest guy in the world.
The nicest guy in the world. And yet, this is all he had to say about the draft after Elijah Molden. Is that the only thing you liked?
Yeah. No. No. See, why you get me in trouble, man?
So, here's Chris Sanders saying he didn't like the draft. Have the Colts passed the Titans in the AFC South? What made me think of this is I believe, death, taxes, and the Dallas Cowboys perpetually overrated. ESPN this morning, they said, who's the team to beat in the NFC East after the draft? And 2 of the 4 panelists said Cowboys.
Why?
And I'm like, that
Every
team
year.
freaking sucks. The Cowboys suck. Come on. That team is terrible. Their coach is a bum. And yet he has Cowboys, and I feel that way about the Colts. I feel like every year it's like, who's going to win the South? And at least 2 of the 4 panelists will pick the Colts. So I'm going to ask the question in an honest forum. This is an honest show. This is the most honest show in Nashville. I can promise you that. Do we think the Colts have passed the Titans?
I think there's one key part to that, and that is whether or not Caleb Farley is back to 100% being healthy. Because if he ends up being the corner that we were told that he could be when 100% healthy, then no, I don't think that the Colts beat the Titans in the draft. If Caleb Farley can't play this season, isn't producing like the Titans were promised.
You think one corner is this important?
Your first round pick?
Titans won the division last year with no first round pick.
Okay, well, the Titans also gave up a lot of assets over the past year.
Okay.
And also had a horrendous defense.
But what has Indianapolis done?
I just think that if
anything, Indianapolis, I don't know how much you value Carson Wentz. I
don't value Carson Wentz very much.
I think it's a step down. I think Rivers, I think Rivers is a known quantity that is what he was, and the likelihood that Wentz is better is not great. I think a lot of people are banking on the potential of Wentz is better than the reality of Rivers. I would argue that the likelihood of Wentz failing is larger than the likelihood of Wentz succeeding, and that's worse than Rivers. So I don't think they upgraded at quarterback. No. I think Danico Autry was a very big part of what they were doing. They lost Danico Autry to the Titans. They don't have a left tackle. They win in the draft, and they got an outside guy in Kwity Paye who I don't think, I have been told by a coach who would know, who said he was kind of overrated, They take Deo Adengbo, who is injured with an Achilles injury, in the second round. I don't think that the division changes whether or not Caleb Farley is healthy, other than I think it bolsters the Titans' chances of winning the division if he is healthy. But I still think you should rank the Titans first in the division, Indy very clearly second, Jacksonville very clearly third, and Houston very clearly fourth. I mean, I think it's pretty well defined how we should look post-free agency, post-Carson Wentz, post-draft, how we should look at those 4 teams in the AFC South.
And I think the Colts are just holding out hope that Carson Wentz just happens to work out. And I think the people who are saying, oh, the Colts are going to win the division are also thinking that same thing of who knows what's going to happen with Carson Wentz. Is he going to be, what he's been the past couple of seasons for the Eagles, or is he going to be, some standout, super successful quarterback in Indianapolis? And that's, I think the question mark with Carson Wentz is the reason why people tend to sway Indianapolis over the Titans. But I would agree with what we know in terms of Carson Wentz and also with the Titans that I would rank the Titans above the Colts at this point, and considering their draft picks that none of them really blew me away.
Well, so here's my thing with Indianapolis is everybody tells me Chris Ballard is so smart. Chris Ballard plays chess and everybody else plays checkers. Was he playing chess when Josh McDaniels left him at the altar? Was he playing chess when Andrew Luck decided right before the start of the season to retire? Was he playing chess when he had Jacoby Brissett as his starting quarterback? Was he playing chess weighed out the possibility of, I don't know, maybe being able to trade for Aaron Rodgers? They have no left tackle. Who is playing left? I don't think you can win in the NFL without a tight end. Who is their left tackle? They don't have a left tackle. Left tackle.
They have Chaz Green.
He's not, I go back to, and I know I've told the story 1,000 times. The first time that Floyd and I ever worked together, I was just shooting the breeze with him. I was like, the Titans going to be good, Floyd? He goes, we don't have a right tackle. Well, this is left tackle, and they don't have a left tackle. So I think they expect Sam Tevy, who I think was a swing guy for the Chargers, a visit to maybe be the left tackle. I don't see the slobbering of Indianapolis. Like, I get the slobbering of the Cowboys, right? Like, they're the biggest brand in football. So because of that, the Cowboys are going to get elevated and discussed more than any other. But they sucked with Dak. So, and I know it wasn't a lot of the season, but they still kind of stunk. They had no defense. That
division is terrible as
well.
That
division is terrible, and it is terrible at quarterback. That is the other part of it. But again, like, the Cowboys will get elevated. I guarantee you in July has a lot of inflation when it comes to how people view their team. It's like if a guy is picked by Chris Ballard, he must be a good pick. It's the same thing as these rankings, these 24/7 sports rankings, and all these different companies that rank college players. Some of them, and I'm not throwing 24/7 under the bus. I'm just using them as a. I have heard that kids will get offered by Alabama and then their ranking will go up. It's like, oh, well, he must be good because he got offered by Alabama.
Well, it's with association. You're going to be.
Indianapolis has earned that. 615-737-1025. That's the question. Do we think, and again, I think I stand with Chris about not loving the draft, but 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Have the Colts pass the Titans? I vote no. I think the Titans are very clearly number one in the AFC South entering the off-season program or whatever you want to call it.
One texter texted in and said...
Text line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com.
One said that the Colts have the most talented roster in the division.
Where?
Wide receiver, maybe?
Like,
I don't know. That would be the only
they have
position
Michael
area.
Pittman Jr. Who would you rather have, Michael Pittman Jr. or A.J. Brown?
A.J. Brown.
Who would you rather have, Michael Pittman Jr. or, I think he's more like DJ Chark. Those guys in Jacksonville. But anywho, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Stillman & Company's live from the wholesaling studio, powered by RumbleOn.com. Don't miss the Cure for Our Friends Cystic Fibrosis Golf Tournament May 15th at the 12 Stones Golf Course in Goodlettsville. Some of the teams include retired Titans football players who will be part of the after party. Cure for Our Friends Golf Tournament needs sponsors and silent auction items. More info can be found at cureforourfriends.org. Thank you to Dad's Towing, Mitchell's Motors, and National Record Services for being the tournament sponsor for the 2021 Cure for Our Friends Cystic Fibrosis Golf Tournament. Stillman and Companies, delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game. Apparently, I've got some beef with MoneyPuck.com. We'll get to that in just a second. But
Your favorite.
we'll see.
I just
We'll
want
see.
someone to love me as much as you love Money Puck.
We'll see. We will see. Anywho, we're discussing whether or not the nation's beloved Colts have passed the Titans. I am making a prediction. When the preseason magazines come out, when do those come out? July-ish?
Like around OTA time.
Okay.
July-ish.
When the preseason magazines come out, 85% of them will pick the Colts to win the South. because no one's picking Jacksonville, no one's picking the Texans. 85% of them will pick the Colts.
Why do you think that is?
Because once people believe there's 4 teams in the league or 8 teams in the league that people watch, right? They watch Kansas City, they watch New England, they watch Dallas, they watch Green Bay, and then everybody else, like, you might watch a game of. They may watch a game of the Buffalo Bills. They may watch a game of the Titans, but they're not going to watch, like, the whole season every week. Like, even teams that are good, like the Ravens, they may watch a game. But the Cowboys are going to be on every week. The Giants, Chris Ballard and Frank Reich won right away with Andrew Luck when Andrew Luck was healthy. That Ryan Grigson was so bad and ruined Andrew Luck, and Chris Ballard came in and fixed it. And yet the results don't just match up all the praise and the adulation that Chris Ballard deserves. And again, if you're such a great general manager, go figure out quarterback. And that seems to be where Indianapolis struggles with. But I promise your phones. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Terry, though, is going to kick us off on the program. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Terry.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
You don't hit a nerve with me, Jared.
Okay.
I'm Cowboys, man. When you say we suck, I mean, if you say our defense sucks, I'll give that to you. But you can't say our team sucks. You also said Dak sucks.
I said Dak sucks. I said they sucked with Dak.
Oh, I thought you said Dak sucked at the end. No. That's when I kind of got really aggravated.
No, but Terry, I'm gonna be honest with you. The Cowboys suck. Like I'm just telling you. Like when my team sucks, I want people to tell me that my team sucks. The Cowboys suck. I'm sorry.
What was the Titans' problem last year?
Titans defense wasn't very good.
What was the problem, though? Defense, right?
Sure.
And what was the Dallas's problem? Defense, right?
Quarterback, offensive line. Zeke's put on a little weight.
Well, offensive line because of why? Wow. Why offensive line? We got hurt. Our offensive lineman got hurt last year.
So that's still a problem, though.
The defense. What did we draft in the draft? What did we do the whole draft?
So now the defense is miraculous.
No, but we're trying. What did y'all draft?
Defense.
Did you draft any of your needs, though?
Corner. I mean, again, I don't think that I hear you, Terry, but I still think the Cowboys suck. Like, you can turn this on me. This is that whataboutism that I don't do that they love on cable news, which is instead of addressing, like, what the issue is that's being discussed, it's like, well, what about them? And you're looking at this saying, well, what about the Cowboys? Or, no, what about the Titans? We ain't talking about the Titans. Titans were 11-5 last year. Titans made the playoffs. Titans have the best running back in the league. Cowboys suck.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you the running back. There's no doubt y'all got the best running back.
But Terry, do the Cowboys suck? Do the Cowboys suck? You think they do?
No, you're right. You're wrong.
So you think the Cowboys don't suck?
I guarantee you, I'll call you back at the end of the year this year. We will have a better record than the Titans this year. Okay,
thank you for your call, Terry. I sat here. I got into it last year. Ian, you can back me up on this. I got into it last year with the ESPN stats and info people. You know, like the analytic people.
Oh, I love them.
Ian,
Those are my
you remember
people.
that?
About what?
About the Cowboys and how they had the Cowboys ranked so high. And I laid in to Fitz. I mean, I gave Fitz the business about the ESPN FPI that had the Cowboys ranked so high. When I knew in my heart that the Dallas Cowboys sucked, I just gave Fitz the business. I mean, I let him have it. Fitz, to his credit, turns around and takes it to the stats and info people. So Fitz is sending me back the info that the stats and info people are explaining to him as to why they think the Cowboys are going to be so good in 2020. And guess what? The Cowboys sucked last year. And even when Dak was the quarterback, they stunk. Now, this segues me to the next thing, which is MoneyPuck.com, who apparently is mad at me because they want to be labeled analytics. So, I've decided this. MoneyPuck wants to be analytics. We know me. I love MoneyPuck. I go to MoneyPuck and I'm like, okay.
You love MoneyPuck.
What are the chances the Predators make it to the Stanley or make it into the playoffs? You know what? Goodbye, MoneyPuck. I'm done with MoneyPuck.
Wow, you're going cold turkey on MoneyPuck?
I am done with MoneyPuck. If you want to be analytics, if you want to be percent chances, Like, see, I believe in percent chances. When you play blackjack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it analytics that if you've got 11 and she's got a 6, that you should double down and you're likely to get 21 and she's likely to bust?
Is that
analytics?
Is that not analytics? Well, how does it numbers are analytics? A percentage chance is analytics.
Okay, so if I have 5 Pepsis and I give away 3 Pepsis, how many Pepsis do I have?
2.
Is that analytics?
That's arithmetic.
Oh, so but again, I'm trying to figure this out. So, like, if I'm flipping a coin and it's a 50% chance that it's going to land on tails, is that analytics?
Yeah.
Well, okay, then we don't need to dress it up and treat it like it's something special.
You do. You love percentage chances.
No, I just say moneypuck.com says. But if that's an info crew
Hey,
that
be
told
nice to the
Fitz,
stats
no,
and info group.
No,
They work hard.
They ranked the Dallas Cowboys 5th last year during the offseason in the NFL. 5th. And I'm like, the Dallas Cowboys? And Fitz, to their credit, Fitz took it back and they talked about, game percent chance at home for the opportunity they have on their and I'm just telling you, I looked at the Cowboys and I'm like, boys, I can watch a game. I can watch a game in order to not think that the Dallas Cowboys stink. Fair? Do you think the Dallas Cowboys stink?
Yes.
Ian, do you think the Cowboys stink? Well, Ian's on the phone. I think the Cowboys stink. And why? Because I watch games. So if moneypuck.com wants to become analytics, if they want to be so special that they got to hire,
What
gurus
is so
from Harvard.
wrong with analytics? Analytics can be a lot of things.
Because-
Analytics can be, the air from the southwest and the rotation of the ball, or it can be the Predators have a 92% 2 different things.
The Dallas Cowboys being the 5th best team in the league based upon ESPN's FPI was complete hogwash at the time last
Based
summer.
upon number crunching. I mean, they're not lying, and they're not going to say, "Hey, the Cowboys are the 5th best team in the NFL mid-season when the Cowboys are the worst team in the NFL." They're not lying to you. They're just presenting numbers that they have found based off of certain factors. And to say that you agree with it or not doesn't mean that it's necessarily right or wrong.
I'm trying to find the conversation with Fitz.
I feel like there's a difference between statistics and analytics when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Right. Like, you can look at the Cowboys' record last year and say, okay, if they had, I don't know what the record was last year, not very good.
Here you go. Here, I got their Cowboy thing. The Cowboys were ranked 5th in the league. Fitz, here's what they said. Hey, Jason, we'll loop in our analytics team. Here you go. This is from the analytics team. Really, quote, it comes down to 2 things. The biggest factor in preseason FPI is Vegas win totals coupled with the team's schedule. The Titans' win total is 8.5, shaded towards the over, but they play the second easiest schedule in the league. So that reflects about an above-average team, which is where the FPI ranks them. That is the most important factor. In addition, despite their postseason run last year, the Titans ranked only 11th in total efficiency, which is just expected points added per play with garbage time downweighted over the course of the year, including the playoffs. So that suggests they overachieve. So this doesn't exactly compare this with the Cowboys. But Vegas win totals, I think that's very important to note. Do you know how Vegas win totals are determined?
No, I don't actually.
A Vegas win total is determined by what they think people will bet on. So it is their subjective
That's their
opinion
job,
of everybody else's subjective opinion. So if we were to take the Titans over and under, and I were to make the over-under 15.5 for the Titans, my guess is every single person would come in and they would bet under, right?
If they're smart.
So it's their subjective opinion of my subjective opinion.
Right.
So I want to make the number something that I think people will bet both sides. Because, again, that's how they win, is when you have equal amounts of loss totals because of people like that called the show, because they have the most fans in the league. And thus, that guy, if you make the over-under 6.5, that guy's going to bet it. They're going to all bet it. It's going to raise the over-under. So that is, again, that's how ESPN's putting their FPI on Vegas win totals. Again, that is totally subjective. And that's how you can use the numbers to change a narrative, because you can pick any number you want. That all of this comes from something that is subjective. So you turn all these numbers and you tell me that the Dallas Cowboys are the 5th best team in the league, when in reality they're not. And that's my problem with all of this, is that at the end of the day, it's not based in, when I think of analytics, like if you tell me that a guy analytically is the best guy in the league And I don't think he's the best guy when I watch him play. Like Mike Trout, I'm guessing analytically is the best baseball player in the world, right?
I would say so.
So it's like him or Ronald Acuna or Tatis, or there's like a handful of guys. If you come to me and you say, actually, according to this, Chris Bryant is the best player in baseball, according to these analytics, well, then I better see the Cubs win some more games. Because I watch the Cubs play. I watch these teams play. I know who's good and who's bad. And that's where I get, like, analytics. Like, there's a kid that the Braves have out of Vanderbilt named Kyle Wright. And all the analytics say this guy should be a stud. He was picked in the top 10 of the draft. You know, I guess the spin rate on his fastball is really good. And these scouts are miffed at the fact that this guy's fastball gets squared up as much as it does. And I've watched him pitch enough. I can see the body language. He's not tough enough. He doesn't have the personality to pitch in the major leagues as a starter. And he just doesn't have it. Goes into a playoff game, gives up 10 runs in the first inning because he doesn't have it. I can see it. But the analytics tell me that he's a good pitcher, so they should pitch him. Huascar Ynoa, the guy that pitched yesterday that we bet on, I've watched him pitch. He can get guys out. He's throwing 100. I'm like, I see why he gets guys out. He throws 100. He's got a nasty breaking ball. Like, that guy's usually a pretty good pitcher. And that's my thing on analytics. I call it the Craig Smith rule because it bothers me the most when it comes to Craig Smith. But the idea that we can just make up things because, well, this is how we factor it in, like, that's my problem.
What they're coming up with. Whether you agree with what the numbers that they're using or not doesn't make it necessarily right or wrong, doesn't make it that they're just making things up. But let's say if you're investing in certain franchises, whether you work for them or if you're a coach and you're recruiting guys, you kind of have to go off of a little bit more than just feeling. You kind of have to go off of a little bit more than just, I feel like he doesn't have it. He doesn't have what it takes. You need something else, something quantitative to hold on to say, this is why I feel this certain way. This is why I trust putting my word and my time and my money in on something, because it's more than just, I don't like him. It's more than just, they were bad last year.
Why? We had scouts do that for forever. I mean, that was the scouting system was
pre-Moneyball,
I don't feel this guy can do this. I don't feel that guy can do that. I mean, I don't.
But just because that's how they did it before, does that necessarily make it the right way to do things?
Well, do you think that means that Phil Jackson right now can't, that he couldn't coach the Chicago Bulls the same way? If someone gave him all the numbers, would Phil be a better coach? Like, no, I think Phil Jackson was a good coach because he's a good coach.
Yeah.
Because Phil Jackson knows Michael Jordan's the best player on the team. Let's get the ball to Michael Jordan. Like, that's, to me, and again, I mean, I just think that it's ruining sports. I think that it's ruining sports from an aesthetic standpoint. I use baseball the most, but I think it's ruining sports. So if MoneyPuck.com wants to be analytics, if they want to say, out on MoneyPuck, I'm just saying, I am out on MoneyPuck.
If you're out on MoneyPuck, then I'm in.
Fine,
I'm all in. They just followed me on Twitter, so I'm all in.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. It is a big game, regardless of what the analytics say. It is a big game tonight for the Predators. We'll touch on that next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025, The Game.
when you factor where this team was earlier in the year, I know it's been brought up a bunch, but the idea of possibly clinching tonight, how exciting is that? And how much do you reflect on the season as a whole?
Well, I think it's exciting that, this time of year, Jared, that, we're down to 3 games here with, an opportunity where if we can take care of business, we give ourselves a really good chance to be able to get in. So that in itself is exciting. I think playing competitive games this time of year is really exciting. And, to be very honest with you, I haven't really gone through and kind of analyzed the whole year. I just think at this point in time, you are so focused on getting the team ready, making sure that, we're in the present moment, the game, the day that we're in, to be very honest with you, to make sure that we're not looking too far ahead or far behind. And, I think at the end of the season, wherever this goes, I think that's when you can really look back and evaluate on certain things throughout the year.
There you go. John Hines today talking about tonight. Win and Dallas loses and you're in. It's as simple as that. And, oh, my goodness, it would make me feel so much better if the Predators won tonight and did not have to worry about the Carolina Hurricanes, the 2 games Saturday and Monday. I would just feel so much better if we didn't have to worry about any of that going into kind of the weekend. But again, Tampa Bay tonight, they play Dallas, you play Columbus. Big 2 games tonight, just according to my feeling. And to the obvious of looking at the standings, although it's looking at the standings now, analytics.
MoneyPuck.com did say that, yes, it sure is a big game. #analytics, #nerd with a laptop, #promote Caroline.
So, first of all, nobody has promoted Money Puck over the last 2 months more than me. Secondly,
they like me more now.
Clearly, because I've broken up with them. I mean, they like you more. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but sometimes, like, when a couple is very happy and then they break up, then they go try to do something that would make the other person mad. And
no, they're not doing that. They genuinely just love me.
I
am not a rebound.
But I mean, I'm
what they've been missing.
I'm just saying. I mean, I guess looking at the standings is now analytics because it involves numbers of some sort. But tonight, a big game. John Hines says they're not going to look at kind of the big picture of this until it's over. I would understand that feeling. But how do you feel about the big picture tonight? Win and a Dallas loss and you're in.
I mean, that would be great. I mean, Preds win, Dallas loss, you're clinching the playoffs. And a percentage, I don't want to offend you with this percentage, but on March 13th, according to Ryan Porth, on March 13th, the Predators had a 0.34% chance of making the playoffs with an 11-16-1 record. That was not that long ago. That was less than 2 months ago. So the fact that we're having this conversation of if the Predators win and if the Stars lose, they're in the playoffs. That's pretty astonishing on its own. So I don't want to necessarily talk about a bigger picture in terms of what it would look like in the first round of the playoffs. If the Predators play the Hurricanes in the first round of the playoffs, what would that look like moving forward? I don't want to look at that. I just think it's a feat in its own that the Predators are in this position now.
Sure. I think there are 2 total branches to the tree. One is, can you make the playoffs? The other is what happens when you get there. And I would be ecstatic tonight if they win, Dallas loses, and the Predators make the playoffs. And I think we all should be. I tweeted this out Sunday or Saturday after they won the game against Dallas. I said, game ball goes to John Hines. And that's how I feel about the season. What's the long-term situation for the Predators? I mean, no one really knows that. Is David Poile going to be here for a while? Should David Poile be here for a while? If David Poile's not here for a while, they bring somebody new in. Is that person going to want to bring their own coach in? Is this just John Hines hitting the right tunes with everybody? Is this John Hines, figuring it out on the run? He had his first stop in New Jersey, and now he's got it done here. I mean, I think those are all fair questions. They're much bigger, but I think that, where we sit right now, if they win, if they're in the playoffs, if this team makes the playoffs after where they were, and it was bad. I mean, it was bad. I remember taking calls being like, hey, let's not fire John Hines today. I remember explaining, hey, I'm not ready to say it's time for Hines to go. I'm not ready. And I remember Ryan texting me going, when you say that you're not ready for Hines to go today, that means that just eventually you're going to be ready for Hines to go. And it certainly felt that way at that point. But I said, hey, you can always coach your way out of it. So far, Hines, I think, has done a fantastic job. A lot of core players have proven their worth. Some core players still have a little bit more to prove. Those are bigger questions. Outside of this group making the playoffs, I think it would be pretty special. If this group wins tonight, Dallas loses, it would make our lives a lot easier, not having to sweat these 2 games with Carolina, because I don't want anything to do with these 2 games with Carolina meaning something, because then, I just assume just rest everybody that's got a ding, let Carolina do the same thing, or let Carolina beat you, going 100% and get ready to take on Carolina in the first round of the playoffs. But it's time for Carolines.
Get in on the action. Put the money on the mahogany. What's on tap on the sports books? It's time to break it all down with Carolines. Here on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Big Predators game tonight. I've got some NHL picks for you. Dallas Stars travel to Tampa Bay. I'm taking Tampa Bay money line. You could take Tampa Bay -1.5. It's plus 165 in the sports book. I don't necessarily feel confident enough in the Lightning -1.5, but they've won 5 of their last 6. They lead the series with the Stars 5-1. I'm taking the Lightning, and that may be wishful thinking that I just really, really hope the Stars drop this game so the Predators can go ahead and just clinch this playoff berth. But I feel confident that Dallas is going to travel into Tampa Bay and not take care of business.
So I have moneypuck.com pulled up right now.
Oh, interesting.
Moneypuck.com gives Tampa Bay,
my current significant other, your ex.
They give Tampa Bay a 57.8 chance % to win. So you know what I'm going to do?
You're taking the Stars.
I'm taking Dallas. Give me Dallas plus 1.5, because then that way, even if I'm wrong and they lose by a goal, then I still win. Give me Dallas plus 1.5. Give me the 42.2%. Because screw the analytics. Forget about them. They got to go. They've got to go. So I am taking Dallas tonight with a 42.2% chance and a 100% chance in Jared's heart. Well, I shouldn't say that. I want Dallas to lose, but
that's cute.
Like a 100% chance to make moneypuck.com look bad. So I'm going to take Dallas.
Taking the Preds money line tonight as well. And I would feel so confident in taking the Preds -1.5 if they didn't blow it in the third period on Monday. But, I just feel that this is, the Predators know what they have to do tonight. They know that if they don't win this game tonight, that they're going to have a much bigger job in beating the Hurricanes. So I'm going to take the Preds tonight. What is their series? They've won against the Blue Jackets this season. I don't know, but the Blue Jackets are a bad team. The Predators are a good team. There you have it.
I'm going to take the Predators too tonight, just because I think that we've seen, and I asked John Hines about it today, that, these big games that have come up lately, the Predators have won these games. The big ones, like, gotta win this Sunday night game against Dallas, win. Gotta win this game against Chicago, win.
They know the
Gotta
must-wins.
win this Saturday night game against that, win. Tonight, I think it's kind of the same way. I think the Predators get it done. I still think they don't make it easy on us, because Dallas will have 2 with Chicago, and then you'll have 2 with Carolina. I still don't think it'll be easy, but I think the Predators get it done tonight. I think they knock out the Dallas Stars. That they knock off the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'll take the Predators on the money line as well.
And Columbus has won 5-4 in their last 10.
Yeah,
so if you're just taking the feeling out of it.
That being said, though, they didn't pack it in the other night when they were down 3-0.
That's true.
I wouldn't take it for granted. When MoneyPuck.com gave the Predators a 96.3% chance of winning the game. There you go. Okay. Now, they did end up winning, so there's that.
So you can't always trust MoneyPuck.com, but I do.
Predators game day is next. Hey, guys, do you know what season it is? That's right. It's a moving season. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything is taken care of with TriStar Moving. They'll cover your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, and wrap and protect all of your furniture and put all of your televisions in protective boxes. I know this because, well, they took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. You also should enjoy their brand new state-of-the-art storage facility located in Mount Juliet. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, are true Nashvillians, and they want to help this community any way they can, and I know it because I know them. And they do a fantastic job. If you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. 615-640-1219 or visit their website at nashvillemoving.org/radio. They'll even give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219. nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stop and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. This is Smashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Win, and Dallas loses, and you're in. That's right. Win, Dallas loses, and you're in. Predators Game Day is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. No, this is not San Francisco 49ers Game Day. This is Predators Game Day. The Columbus Blue Jackets come in 16, 25, and 12, good for 44 points. The Predators 29, 22, and 2, good for 60 points. It really is 2 games in one because we are going to be paying attention to the Dallas Stars and the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight at the same time. Again, Dallas loses, Preds win, and they are in the playoffs. Meanwhile, we go with the coach's take. Coach John Hines on tonight's game.
It's a fun time of year, and we're playing meaningful games, and we're excited to be able to play. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game like it was the other night. Columbus is they played us hard, came back obviously from behind. And so I think the most important thing for us is really enjoy the competitiveness of what the game is going to bring, but also enjoy the competitiveness of what this time of year requires.
So there may be a couple of lineup changes, but the lineup changes so far have not been announced on the roster. So the roster possibilities, Dante Fabro may be back in the lineup. He's still on the IR as of right now.
Colton Sissons as well.
Colton Sissons. Now, I don't know if they put him on the injured list or not.
I don't think he was. They listed him as day-to-day.
Right. He's just day-to-day upper body.
Right.
But Dante Fabro's not on IR. So I don't know. I'm looking at the wrong injury report. That's my bad. So both Fabro and Sissons could return today. It's Olivier Borvietsky and Spisa who are on IR. So tonight we could see Dante Fabro back in the lineup. We could see Colton Sissons back in the lineup, which then begs the question, who goes out of the lineup if Colton Sissons goes back into the lineup? Brad Richardson. And who goes out defensively? Eric Gabranson. If they were to have Dante Fabro go back into the lineup. UC Saros will be in net tonight. And again, I think I can't stress enough that the Predators, who at one point were really toying with last place. I mean, really toying with it. With losses against Columbus, Detroit, getting smacked. Again, a win tonight and a loss by the Dallas Stars, who, by the way, were in the Cup final last year, put the Predators into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Oh, how nice it would be given everything that's happened this year. Caroline Fenton, what are you looking for tonight?
Well, I said on Monday night that I needed to see that famed Philip Forsberg offense that I had heard about but hadn't necessarily seen since I had moved to Nashville, and that's exactly what we got on Monday night.
You did get that?
Philip Forsberg had an assist, had a goal, and it was just an exciting offensive game. I need to see more of that exciting offense, and I need to see power play goals. I'm sick and tired of seeing the Predators not take advantage of their power play, so I need to see some power play goals tonight.
I think for me with the Predators tonight is defensively. I want to see the structure remain the same for all 3 periods. I thought defensively they were fantastic for the first 2 periods the other night, and then they kind of let it fall away in that 3rd period. And there's no way I can judge how they played defensively in an overtime of 3-on-3. But tonight, I'm looking for defensive structure. I mean, I think if you go in there and you play Predators hockey and you keep your foot on the gas and they approach this big game like they have approached all the other big games recently, I think they're going to win. I think the goaltending has been sharp. I feel good about the power play that you just brought up. I mean, I think we saw the rejuvenation of that the other night. Defensive structure for 60 minutes tonight. I mean, I think it's pretty simple, and I hate saying it. Go in there and play the same brand of hockey you've been playing. You will win tonight. What does that mean for Dallas? I don't know. What does that mean, for everything? I can't tell you. But I think if they play the same way they've been playing, which is something that John Hines is really, focused on, I think they will win tonight. I think the Predators get it done. That's going to do it for us. We are back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Are we celebrating a playoff berth? We will see. Predators pregame is next. Puck drop 6 o'clock. With the voice of the National Predators, Pete Weber. That's it for us. Stillman and Company. We'll see you tomorrow at 2.